Yeah, this is case number 488 on the calendar in the matter of Castrillon versus Rivera. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
You coach a girls' athletic team?
No, I coach a boys' basketball team.
Do you have a son in that team?
I have 2 sons on that team.
How long have you been coaching?
I've been coaching for 6 years, basketball and baseball.
It is your claim that Mr. Rivera's daughter, which daughter?
Patricia.
Assaulted you after a game.
Yes.
And then accused you of assaulting her. You were arrested, you were tried, and, according to you, acquitted of those charges.
Yes.
You believe Mr. Rivera should compensate you for these false charges as well as for the assault. Mr. Rivera says nothing could be farther from the truth. His daughter is going to tell me that you, in fact, precipitated this. You assaulted her, and she is counterclaiming for that assault. You're Patricia?
Yes.
Stand up, Patricia. How old are you?
15.
At the time of this incident, how old were you?
15.
When did it happen?
In August.
Okay, I have a couple of questions for you. I was interested in the first couple of lines of your complaint. This happened after a game. Your team won.
Yes.
You say, after the best playoff game of the season, I felt it necessary to verbally encourage my players for our upcoming game.
Yes.
Where were you when you were encouraging your players?
I was in the lobby of the gym.
Where this incident occurred?
Yes.
And tell me what you were saying to your players.
They were happy that they had won. We were all happy that we had won the playoff game because it was taking us to the championship game. I told them, you guys played a good game. We have to work harder for the championship game.
That's all?
That's all.
And where was Patricia?
Patricia was behind me, probably like 7 feet.
Do you know what she was doing?
No.
What were you doing behind her, Patricia?
I was passing out refreshments to our teammates.
I have a picture of where Patricia was at and where she was at.
Okay, let me just take a look at the picture, Bert, please.
That's the hallway, and then Patricia can go ahead and go into details as to where she was at. Okay.
You weren't there?
No.
Okay. Fair statement, Ms. Castrillon, that this is where the incident took place?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
After, when I was talking to him, Mr. Rivera's daughter, his other daughter, Vanessa Rivera, was standing at the doorway. And what she did is she picked up a cooler from the ground, and she got up and she said, we'll see about that. So at this point, I turned around and I said, we'll see about it. And all of a sudden, I just hear, you're talking to my sister, running at a fast pace with her arm in a fist. So what I did, I turned around, and when I turned around, I took a step, and I seen her already coming at me, so my first reaction was blocking my face. What happened is, at the pace she was going, she lost her balance, because at that time, I weighed almost 190 pounds. I just had finished having my baby. So she lost her balance, and she fell to the ground.
What happened after she fell down?
Somebody was in between us, and I had stepped outside.
Did you leave?
I waited, because I was told that the police was being called for, and I was going to wait for the police officers.
Did you wait?
No.
Why not?
Because one of the staff at the park told me to leave due to the situation that they wanted to continue the fight outside. And in the best knowledge of all kids...
I didn't hear about a fight. I heard she fell and you walked outside. So what you're telling me is you didn't put your hands on her?
No.
At no time?
At no time.
All right, Patricia, let me hear your version of these events, please.
Well, after I was passing out refreshments, I heard them calling our teammates losers and haters.
Who was calling the teammates losers? The kids?
No, another parent.
Another parent of one of the children on her team?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's when they kept calling us haters and losers, and I told her that we understand that we lost, and we started arguing.
Who was arguing?
Me and Brenda were arguing.
Point to some place in this room where you were standing and where she was standing. From where you are, how far away was she?
Maybe to, like, over there.
Over where?
By that door.
So at least 20 feet?
Yes.
So you were shouting at each other?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you shouting to her? And I want you to be honest with me. And what was she saying to you?
Well, she started cussing at me. She said F and B, and I also cussed at her.
And then what happened?
And then that's when she came towards me, and she said, what then? And I said, what? And she attacked me. She pulled me by the hair, and she punched me on the head, and I didn't really hit her. I just was trying to push her away. And then these ladies were, like, trying to pull us apart, and that's when I fell to the floor.
Did you have any injuries that day?
No, I just, like, my head hurt a lot, but I didn't have anything visible.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to see it, please. You have a police report, Ms. Castrillon?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them both.
copy of it that I faxed. If that's not clear, I have another copy.
Did Lori testify at the trial?
Yes, she did.
Lori works for the Parks and Recreations Commission.
Yes.
And it would be a fair statement that she testified at the trial that you hit her 4 times.
Yes.
That you are otherwise a nice person, but that you opened up a big fresh mouth and cursed at her.
Because she was cussing at me too, Your Honor.
You were cursing at her.
Yes.
And you lost it.
No.
This woman has no particular axe to grind.
There was different statements in the trial regarding that.
And it would be a fair statement that if you had to do this whole day all over again, you would have done it differently.
Yeah.
Because for a moment, you didn't act like the mature adult, like the mother of 2 children who was supposed to behave as an adult who was setting an example and a standard.
Well, I don't think I misbehaved. I was just protecting myself.
I don't believe that. And neither did the district attorney, because the district attorney brought this case to trial, which in the law suggests that the district attorney felt that there was sufficient evidence to present to a jury. The fact that you were acquitted does not mean that you were innocent of the charges. The jury just found that they did not believe beyond a reasonable doubt the events, in all probability, that either one of you testified to. And in all probability, they didn't want the mother of 2 who lost it for a moment to have a criminal record and to be subject to possible term of incarceration. That's also a possibility. But certainly there was sufficient evidence. A big fresh mouth. She
No.
and maybe her sister. I don't know.
No, Your Honor.
Well, let me tell you this, madam. It is clear, based upon the police investigation, that the police found that there was sufficient evidence to arrest you and to charge you with assault. And I will read to you, since this is in evidence, what this report says. Victim Patricia Rivera and suspect Brenda Castrillon were yelling back and forth about the loss of the game. Victim Patricia Rivera, that's you, used a lot of profanity. Witness was the employee of the Parks and Recreation who knows the suspect, who knows you. She says that you just lost it, that you grabbed the victim's hair and punched her 3 times.
If I would have punched her 3 times, she would have had some kind of marks on her.
Maybe, maybe not. You're suing her for assault. Where were the marks on you? I don't think that you hurt her, but I think that you hit her. And I think you pulled her hair. I think you lost it. You're the adult. She's the child.
Exactly.
You're the one who's supposed to maintain order. You're the one who's supposed to say to either the parents or the kids on your team, whoever was saying things to them that were not kind, you're supposed to say to them, that's the wrong thing to do.
Exactly. And when I start coaching, I show my kids good sportsmanship. During that time, I have no control of what parent says anything.
I didn't say you had control over it. She says, and I believe it, that somebody called them losers. They did lose, but that doesn't mean they're losers. They lost that day. It's your job to diffuse that situation. I don't know what you're suing her for. You were not injured, therefore you can't sue her for assault. I believe, based upon the police report, that you hit her. Police had a right to arrest you. The district attorney had a right to try you.
I have a witness that was there and that's seen everything.
Oh, I'd be delighted to hear that witness. Step up. What's your name?
My name is Juana Ward.
Miss Ward, do you have a child on this team?
My 2 grandkids.
Now, tell me exactly what you saw. Look at me.
Before the game started, one of the girls told the other one about Brenda and James, which was that coach and the assistant coach, about they want to be Hispanic and they don't speak Spanish. I didn't say nothing. I just stayed. The game finished. We won. Everybody was happy. I went outside with my grandkids and the rest of the team to pass the snacks. When I seen one of the girls, the 2 girls passing the snacks also at the same time, was telling our kids, cheaters. So I told one of the parents, this girl's looking for trouble. Next time I seen one of the girls pass by me with the cooler in her hand and told Brenda, we see about that. And when she make another step, she says, you. And then I look at her, I look at Brenda, and
Now, that was this young lady right here.
Yes.
Okay.
So next time I know, this one right here, I don't know what's her name, the tall one, she says, don't be talking to my sister. You. She jumped and she started running to my daughter. So Brenda turned around. I told Brenda,
Your
watch
daughter,
out.
she started running to your daughter.
Running
What daughter?
where she was. She ran. with her hands up,
Oh, just a second. You said she started running to your daughter. Where was your daughter?
right by the door.
Who's your daughter?
Brenda,
How come you didn't tell me that?
you didn't ask me.
All right, so let's now finish the story. Come on.
Okay, so she ran and she called Brenda, don't be talking to my sister. With her hands up, I told Brenda, watch out. She turned around, and but this time she wanted to hit Brenda in the face. She went like that. I went to trying to stop them from fighting. She fell down on the ground. I picked her up. When I picked her up, she came back at Brenda again, but I put the stroller in between both of them.
And you didn't see your daughter put your hands on her at all?
She just went like this.
Good, sit down. No, I'm not finished yet. Stand up. Did you tell the story that you just told me to the police?
I never talked to the police.
Did you go to trial?
Yes, I did.
And you testified at the trial?
Yes.
Well, somebody believed you. Not me. Sit down. Somebody on the jury believed you. I don't. I believe somewhere between your statement and her statement there lies the truth, which is why, in all probability, that the jury did not convict you. That does not mean that the story that you just told me about not putting your hands on her is true, because I believe that you did. I don't believe that you, unless you were sainted, if, as your mother says, she called you all sorts of names. It's nice that I found out she's your mother sort of in the third act. Called you all sorts of names. The sister all caused you all sorts of names. They were cursing at the players, calling them cheaters, and you did nothing when she came over with her fists balled up, attempting to attack you. You just stopped her and walked out. I don't believe that, Ms. Castrione. So listen to me. So I'm dismissing your case. Now, I think your daughter behaved very badly, Mr. Rivera.
I agree with you.
Good. So if you agree with me, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
Your daughter was not injured.
Not physically.
That's right, not physically. Well,
However,
I would have hurt her physically.
Okay,
she would have been physically injured if she were my daughter. She would have been physically injured from the soap in her mouth.
She did get in trouble for that, and I did punish her for that.
Perfect.
But also, Brenda knew that I was her dad. She knew that Patricia, the lady in black, it's her mom. I mean, she could have came to me or Patricia and say,
Absolutely right.
"Look."
She lost it.
She did.
Put your hand down. I've already taken care of your case. She lost it.
She crossed that line.
She's not supposed to lose it.
Exactly.
She's not supposed to lose it. Your children are not supposed to have toilet mouths.
Correct.
Your counterclaim is dismissed. Okay. That's all. Goodbye. Be better sports. It's a game. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martz versus Ryan. Step forward.
26-year-old Heather Martz is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old Jason Ryan, for the balance of an SUV he bought on her credit card.
Quick and painless. Miss Morris, he used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, he needed a car. You were foolish enough to let him use a blank credit card that you had no balance. You said, you want to buy a car? As long as you promise that you'll pay for it, you can use my credit card, because you had bad credit for some reason. Why is it the boyfriends always have bad credit? And they don't understand that that should be the first clue. I'm going to write a new book, and I'm going to say the first clue, bad credit. Anyway, he bought the car on it, was $4,000, and then he had some work done on the car. Before you know it, you turn around, and there's a $6,000 balance on the credit card. Then you break up at some point, and you make these little payments on the credit card for a while, but then you have some financial trouble.
Correct.
What kind of financial trouble did you have, Mr. Ryan?
I have 2 children with an ex-wife that I have to pay child support on all the time, so that...
Well, you want to pay child support so that they could eat occasionally. Right. 1 week they eat, 1 week they don't eat, depending upon your situation.
Right.
Right, he said. Okay, so you ran into some financial problem. You weren't earning enough money, and you stopped making payments on the card.
Correct.
So Miss Mars took back the car and sold it.
Yes,
How much did you sell it for?
$1,000. It was no longer running.
And you applied that, according to your complaint, that $1,000 to your credit card.
I did.
And you want Mr. Ryan to pay the balance.
I do.
And Mr. Ryan says...
I believe that she sold the car. In our area, you can get $3,000 to $4,000 out of that. It's a 1974 Toyota Land Cruiser.
Well, Mr. Ryan, if you wanted to sell it yourself, why didn't you say to Miss Mars, listen, in our area I know I can get $3,000, $4,000 for it, which should pay off the credit card.
Right.
So why don't you let me sell it, because I'm a guy and we know how to make good deals.
I didn't want to sell it. I had put a lot of money into it. I'd thrown new tires on it, which were $800.
But you weren't paying for it. She doesn't even have the pleasure of your company anymore, Mr. Ryan. Why should she pay for a car that you're going to drive around in when you haven't been together for a very long time?
Well, I had only missed a couple payments. I mean, I was working on trying to get her paid.
You mean you missed a couple of payments, some payments you made, then the next week you paid for your child support so your kids could eat, right? And then you paid for the car, and then you paid for food.
Correct.
Oh. Mr. Ryan, I want you to think of it this way. I want you to think that you financed this car through a bank, and the bank repossessed the car because you stopped making payments. But you've had the car for a couple of years. It no longer had the same value. When the bank sold the car, they didn't say to you, listen, we found a buyer. Do you like this buyer? Do you think they're paying enough? They repossess the car and they sell it. And then they get a judgment against you for the balance due on the loan. You do understand that, don't you?
Yes.
Perfect. See what I said? Swift, easy, nice. Miss Mars, how much do you owe on this credit card?
$3,600's on the card, and I'm suing for $4,000 just for the payments that I've been making on it.
What did the Toyota look like when you picked it up?
It wasn't running at all. We had to have it towed. It has a hard top that sits on top, and none of the pins to hold the top onto it were in place. When I opened the door to get in, it just kind of fell off. So it was in pretty bad shape.
How long hadn't it been running?
Maybe a month. I was just putting a new motor into it, actually.
You mean when they came and repossessed it, you were
Yes.
there putting a new motor in
I
it?
wasn't putting it in. I was in the process of getting a new motor for it.
Just a minute. How do you get in the process of getting a new motor for
Saving up money for it.
How old are you?
26.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $4,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm hoping that we can get past this and be friends again.
He just didn't have the money. I mean, he said if he had it, he would...
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Bossert, this is your daughter. What's your first name?
Jamie?
These folks are your cousins, and it is your claim that you babysat for them in a business arrangement over part of last summer, and that they owe you some money.
Yes.
And the Bosserts say that they paid you enough. It's an interesting case because at the time that you were babysitting for them, they were also babysitting for other people. Who's going to speak? Which of...
I will, Your Honor.
Good. You have 2 children?
I do.
And your husband was unemployed last summer for part of the summer?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
While your husband was unemployed, did you agree to take care of a neighbor's 2 children?
It was only one neighbor's child, and the other was my niece. I was not taking care of them at that time. My husband was.
And you were paid for that?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were you paid?
$200 a month.
Did you take care of the children last summer?
Some part, yes.
What part?
When I wasn't working.
After you started working, did you take care of the children?
No, ma'am.
Who did?
My cousin.
And for how long did Jamie take care of the children?
From the time I would go to work until the time Hillary would come home from work.
Well, what time did you go to work?
Depended on the day, anywhere from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I mean.
All right. So you left 8 o'clock in the morning. You were living at the house, is that right?
I was there till, yes.
And what time did you go to work and come home from work?
I went to work at 5 a.m., came home at 1:45 p.m.
So for a good part of the day, Jamie watched those 2 children.
Somewhat, yes, ma'am.
Don't tell me somewhat. Nobody else was home. You
Well-
left at 8. She wasn't home until 2. You watched the children.
Yes, ma'am.
Who took the money?
I did.
Why?
Because it was spent prior to getting it.
Excuse me?
It was spent prior to getting it.
What do you mean it was spent prior to getting it?
It was spent before I received it.
How was that? You have a...
Bills and stuff like that.
Well, that's too bad. If you contract to take care of these 2 children and you get a job and you're working and your wife is working and you're getting $200 a month for those 2 children and she's doing the work, that's some nerve of you to keep the money just because you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you want to say?
It was 2 children with 2 separate parents, so it was $200 per child per month.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they have 2 children.
Yes.
You started to work for them according to your complaint in June, but didn't start charging them until he found the job, which is the end of June.
June 27th, yes.
And you remained there for 6 weeks.
Yes.
And during the time that you were there, how many children did you take care of?
4, ma'am.
And what was the financial arrangement you worked out with them?
Hillary said that she would pay me $300 a month for her 2 children, and Jay was being paid $200 for the other 2.
Well, you didn't make an arrangement with him with regard to...
No.
You just knew that he was getting paid for those
Yes.
children. Okay, so she told you that she was going to pay you $300 a month to take care of her 2 children.
Yes.
How much did you get paid?
Altogether, it came out to $200.
What did you say when you were only paid $200 in cash for the 6 weeks?
I speak to my mom and just told her if she could talk to them and if we could talk to them together because I didn't feel that I was being treated fairly.
When were you advised that you were going to be taking care of 4 children?
At the beginning of when I agreed to watch her 2 children, it was just the time I started watching her 2 children, they just were there.
They were just there?
Yeah.
Well, when he went to work and she was gone, you mean he just said, here?
No, the children would arrive after he went to work.
Why was she only paid $200?
There was never anything set. There was never anything set upon, and
she was there 6
resigning.
weeks. She was there 6 weeks. In the 6 weeks that she was there, you earned $600 for watching the children that you watched.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
But the children...
Oh, yeah, I'm speaking.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
But you didn't watch them.
No, ma'am.
She watched them. That's what you told me.
To a point, yes, ma'am.
So that minimally she would be entitled to $600 without your 2 children, because the people that dropped the children off knew that she was babysitting, not you. You were working and you were gone. Bird, I don't know if I'm doing this right, because I just can't believe that this is right. She was paid $200, and she was paid $200 for babysitting for 42 days. Would you tell me how much a day they paid her?
$4.76 a day.
That doesn't sound right, does it?
Well, the $200 I was getting paid for the children was not just for the morning. We watched one from 10 o'clock till 7, and then the other one from a little before noon till whenever his mother decided to show up.
Yes.
So I wouldn't see where she would get all the money.
Well, how about half? How about half?
I'm not sure. She watched them 3 hours a day.
You didn't watch them at all. You didn't watch them at all, because even when you were home, I guarantee you when you were home, you didn't say, Jamie, you're off the clock now, I'm going to take over. You get home from work, and your wife gets home from work, and you got a